This is one of the most controversial hot takes in YouTube. What if I told you that quality over quantity is one of the worst pieces of advice for most content creators on YouTube? And there's actually a much better way that's working right now in real time and getting people to 100,000 subscribers and helping them build six figures on YouTube. See, what a lot of people don't understand is if you're a new content creator, then quality over quantity is absolutely probably the worst piece of advice any content creator could give you. So why do established and respected creators with millions and tens of millions of subscribers on YouTube always tell you quality over quantity? It has a lot to do with what has grown them the most versus what grew them when they were new, when they were small, and when they didn't have experience. Because what a lot of them will not acknowledge is the circumstances of new content creators and what I call working class content creators, people who work a 9-to-5 job, 40 plus hours a week, or might be in school. And a lot of you also have families, and the advice that you're getting are coming from people who are younger than 30 and don't necessarily have a lot of personal responsibility in their life in terms of people that they directly were responsible for at the beginning of their content creator journey and career. So the advice that I want to give you today about how to grow a YouTube channel going forward and not focusing on quality over quantity at the start, and frankly, sometimes not even when you've quote unquote gotten to a certain level, is based on actual information and data that we constantly see in real time in terms of what channels who are new to YouTube are doing in order to grow. Here's where we have to really start. Let's look at your situation in life. In the comments, I want you to tell me how much you identify with this. If you're a working class content creator, that means that when your work is over and if you're getting a reasonable amount of sleep, you probably at most have 15 to 25 spare hours a week that could be for content creation. And that's assuming that you are also to some extent balancing other things in your life, responsibilities, and family. So your maximum amount of time that you can use to create content is probably 15 to 25 hours per week. And that's time that has to be allocated to researching your videos, coming up with ideas, writing your script or your outline, making the thumbnails for the video, filming the video, and recording it, and then doing all of your optimization and publishing tasks, replying to comments, and then figuring out the next video after that. Now, when I lay all that out and say you have 15 to 25 hours a week, does that seem like a reasonable place to compete with the highest quality videos on YouTube from? Probably not. And even when we say, okay, Roberto, well, what if I go quality over quantity? What if I pour all of that into one video a month? Well, even if you did that, and we're accounting for the fact that you still are probably not really experienced at learning video editing. You're probably really slow at video editing, probably can't afford the professional grade software that produces the highest quality videos on YouTube. Probably have not been able to invest into the perfect lighting, audio, camera, lenses, and even if you did, you probably don't know how to use them yet. So you have all this time and energy when you're at your lowest level of skill and lowest level of experience, lowest level of efficiency in using all of your tools. So your 100 hours compared to a more experienced person is going to have about a fourth of the overall quality as a result. What takes you 100 hours to produce the highest level of quality you could make in a month is what somebody with more experience than you, not even that much more experience for you, could accomplish in less than 20 hours. And someone who's wildly efficient can produce the same outcome as your 100 hours in 8 hours. And you know what the worst part of that is? When you look at the biggest YouTubers, they have a team on top of all of this, and they get to spend 40, 60, or 80 hours a week of their own energy and 40 hours a week of multiple other people's energy. And it's their first and only priority. They're not taking the scraps of energy left from a 9-to-5 job that they worked 40, 50 hours a week at, and then taking the scraps of that energy and then pouring the leftovers into all this time to make quality content. So now you understand why quality over quantity is actually terrible advice from the circumstances of not being a full-time YouTuber already. If you are not a full-time YouTuber, or you don't have the abundance of time freedom that comes from being a teenager or in your 20s, having no kids, having no relationship, those kind of things are a big differentiation in who gets to make certain levels of quality content. The other thing is obviously the resources side. The quality of resources you have to make videos going in determines the quality of the videos going out. And by quality, we mean the experience, which is the production value, the performance value, and the personality that you get to drive. Personality is much more experience, it's much more intuition, it's much more the emotional connection with the audience. But production is resources and experience. And performance is definitely experience. And when you're a new content creator or a growing content creator, a lot of times you don't have the abundance in those areas that somebody who is already a full-time and established content creator has. That's just the truth. So there are these massive gaps in what quality can even be for a reasonable person when we're talking about a working class content creator versus a full-time content creator. When we're talking about somebody who's been making money from their content and is monetized and can reasonably invest into it versus someone who's not in that position and their first priority is paying their bills. Okay, Roberto, so what is the answer if quality over quantity isn't the answer? Then what is? Well, first of all, it's not that I'm saying you shouldn't make quality content at all. It's that you should understand why it's not reasonable with what you have, where you are right now, to compete with the highest quality content on YouTube or the highest quality content of your type, style, or niche. So what I would do is I would do an audit and say, what does it take to produce that quality of content from a production standpoint in terms of how much time would it take to produce and edit that style of content. And what you need to understand is for a lot of it, it's 100 to 200 hours. So you need to understand, you need to know that. And that's 100 to 200 hours from an experienced person, which means it's going to be probably 4x that time for an inexperienced person to create the same thing. So I would start to focus on becoming a better video editor and a better technician when it comes to lights, camera, audio, and lenses. I would learn the techniques that ultimately produced much more polished content than you're currently capable of. Start studying the camera angles, the settings. I would look at YouTube studio tours. I would look at video editing tutorials and process videos to start to get a better grasp of this. I would also look at a lot of filmmaking content like DSLR shooter. Those are like really good, strong. I know that a lot of you probably watch more entertainment than you do education, but you need to watch more of those things. There's also videos on this channel that focus on video production, video editing, cameras, lenses, lights, and so on. The other thing you can do is you can start to streamline your process. You can get faster at everything you're doing so that getting to quality ends up not taking nearly as long with the limited 15 to 25 hours that you have per week. Some of you have less than that per week. So the other thing is you need to also look at what content you are reliably and capable of making consistently and sustainably with the resources and budget you have, but also the time and energy you have. Time freedom is a real thing, and it doesn't make sense to come home after a long day at work and then try to make videos with your scraps of energy. Maybe it's something you need to do on your days off when you're at your peak levels of energy and performance so that your performance comes off better on camera. And this could make a huge difference for connecting with the audience. So it's gonna make you feel better when you're editing. You're gonna have less mistakes to take out, and you're gonna like what you're working on much more when you're not straining and struggling. And also, a lot of you need a quiet environment in order to film. You need to build a schedule, system, and structure around when can I film the parts that require audio. Do the audio parts when you have peace and quiet. Don't wait for peace and quiet to edit. That's what God gave us good headphones for. I'll link to some in the description. A lot of you keep waiting for perfect circumstances to make everything or anything at all. You have no business filming the B-roll that's not gonna have audio in it when it's quiet. Do that when it's noisy. Do it when it doesn't matter. When it's time to make something that requires your voice and you need voiceover or you need to do it direct to camera, do that when it's quiet or when no one's around and when you have ideal circumstances. Film when you can. Less about filming when you feel like it. Film when you can. That's a big tip. Now, why all of this matters is because you still need a acceptable level of quality that provides a good experience for a viewer. When we say make quality content, we're talking about what's the best, most engaging experience for the viewer. That's what quality is. It's the experience we get, okay? I don't want you to prioritize quality. I want you to have a standard and a threshold for quality that is sustainable and consistent and reliable for you to produce without negatively impacting your lifestyle or your health. That's what's going to make all of this work. What you need to do instead of thinking about quality over quantity is think about high value and high volume. When everyone says, oh, every niche in YouTube is saturated, it's really not. It's not saturated with someone who consistently and reliably makes a high volume of content that also is high value for the viewers of that content. And the creators who are growing today, even if they don't hit 1 million subscribers, the creators today, they're growing faster and that are making profitable content are looking at what is high value to my audience, what they give attention, time, energy, and interest to. All right? So if you find a high value niche that you can capitalize on with your own experience and ability to either entertain, educate, solve problems, inspire, if you can find something that's in demand, so high value is in demand, high levels of attention are already being given to this, right? So if you find something that's in demand, high value, and then you produce a high volume of that, you go 100 videos deep in a year, 150 videos deep in a year, you become the daily content creator for that niche, then you're going to be successful. One of the best examples of the strategy I'm talking about is Star Wars Theory. Star Wars Theory is one of my personal favorite YouTube channels. Daily videos about, wait for it, Star Wars. So there's an audience whose Star Wars content is high value to. There are people who have generations of their family that have grown up on Star Wars. There are people who've grown up on the Clone Wars, grown up on the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy. Now you have the sequels that no one wants to talk about. So there's all these things. You have the Disney Plus shows now. This is an audience that already has tens of millions of fans around the world, right? Same thing for niches like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, Tolkien content, right? These are high value. And the thing is, this is entertainment stuff. So that's high value. There is a high level of audience engagement that exists for this, and we don't have to guess, we know. If somebody then becomes, I'm the daily content creator in that niche, that is a very specific advantage. Meanwhile, somebody who really goes high quality, works their little heart out, and makes a Star Wars fan film will not be as successful as someone who's doing lore and character analysis every single day. One of those things is going to be high quality, over the top, spends tens of thousands of dollars, takes months to film, shoot, edit, and it's going to get less of an outcome than someone that basically reads from Wikipedia every day. In education, it becomes something very similar. It's actually really easy to grow an audience with tutorials around a software and go heavy on that. Honestly, in a lot of ways, if I was a gaming channel and I wanted to grow, I would get into a new video game. And I've actually seen this work. I would get into a new video game, and then I would do everything that someone that is new to that video game would care about and be interested in if I know that it's a super accessible game, and it would be a game that is new but has a massive advertising budget. They're splashing it everywhere. There's paid ads in every social media platform. I jump on a game like that. It's the same thing with product tutorials. With product tutorials, I would look at what is getting the most advertising push across Amazon and Facebook and Twitter, and I'd be reviewing those products, and I would know that there's a massive audience for that. And if I could make a system and a workflow that let me do that 3 times a week, 5 times a week, every day, more than whatever the market leader is doing, the person who's making the highest quality but inconsistent, what if, since so many people care about that thing now, what if that person that gets 10 million views every upload, what if I had content that could capture 1% of their audience, but I did that every single day? And I'm not telling you to be a daily content creator. I'm just making a point here. High value plus high volume is going to be massively successful for a lot of you who are working class content creators or have just transitioned to being full-time content creators, instead of chasing the unicorn of quality, thinking that somehow, some way, you're going to be one of the handful of people, one of the 3,000 channels that have 10 million subscribers, or one of the 30,000 out of 100 million channels that have 1 million subscribers. And the thing is, you don't even need to be one of the 350,000 channels out of 100 million that have 100,000 subscribers as silver play button to be successful and to make a full-time income and move from being a working class creator to a full-time content creator who does this for a living. The harsh truth is that most of you will not be able to compete on quality for years in your creator journey just because you don't have the experience, the resources, and the time freedom that requires to compete in that arena. But you can make more than the acceptable threshold of quality that's required to grow in your niche. What is getting you, do you realize how many creators don't make the highest quality content, but have videos that they know have given them 1,000 subscribers on one video? That's the quality that people said yes to. And it's not even the highest quality that you've produced as a content creator. I know that even from my own experience. So from a growth standpoint, in terms of I want more subscribers, you can take the level of quality that you had that produced the most subscribers and realize that that's what people said yes to. They're not asking for anything more than that. It's just my ego at this point and not me feeling like I'm making something that competes with my heroes or my idols or people with millions of subs. That's just ego talking, thinking that you have to chase that level of quality or what you do doesn't matter. That's ego and insecurity talking. Whereas if you want to go with quality, I would tell you make the highest quality thumbnail possible, make the highest quality title possible, and pick high value topics and ideas. Focus more on the quality of your ideas, the quality of your titles, the quality of your thumbnails, because that is the value that you're demonstrating in the marketplace at a glance. Before anyone gets to see how fancy your cinematography or editing is, they're judging you completely on the idea, which is the topic, the title, and the thumbnail, and the timing in terms of if it's relevant to them right now. And the thing is, the more you upload in a high value topic, the more relevant that topic is, the more relevant you are, and a high tide raises all ships. When someone makes a viral video on that same idea and you have 100 videos on that idea, do you know what happens? YouTube needs to have some suggested video to put next to that viral video. If you have 100 of them, guess what YouTube thinks is the most relevant content to put next to that viral video that somebody made on the same topic, the same idea? Think about that for a minute. I want to see more of you succeed in YouTube. And I think that if a lot of you focus on topic, title, thumbnail, and timing in terms of the value proposition that you have and making a high value piece of content that people will pay attention to, instead of focus on chasing a high quality video and then complaining and being frustrated that you made all this effort and time, you put 100 hours into it and didn't get results. I think a lot of you should focus on value and then volume in terms of that consistency and showing up and being a community that people can participate in every day, be their daily habit, their daily ritual, or even their daily addiction. I think that's a better strategy for growing on YouTube. But let me know what you think in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my video on the most profitable niches on YouTube if you'd rather be paid than popular. Also, if you want to be a full-time content creator, make sure you're checking out my playlist linked in the description down below. Stay awesome, and I'll catch you on the next video.